Okay, so buckle up because what we just witnessed wasn't simply another title fight. This was a complete earthquake that just ripped through the lightweight division and caught absolutely everyone off guard.
Obviously delivered in the main event, capped off with a war. Just give us your thoughts on Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett delivering a 5-round battle.
Yeah, I mean, what a couple. So Paddy Pimblett at the weigh-ins yesterday says, I'm going to knock this motherfucker out tomorrow. And I was like, that's interesting. And he never abandoned that game plan. Even when, he got dropped a couple times, I kept waiting for him. I'm like, he's eventually going to have to shoot and try to submit him. Now I didn't know Paddy Pimblett had a chin like that till tonight. And, yeah, absolute dogfight in a war, and much respect to both guys.
The only choice. And I knew he wasn't going to quit. He's not a quitter. I've never seen him quit, never seen him give up. And luckily I found some success early. Like I said, I was going to have to steal some momentum, and half of wrestling is stopping people from taking you down. And that's what I was best at. And so luckily I was successful tonight from keeping him there. I thought I grappled well. I was in his guard, in his guard a little bit. If I took my foot off the pedal for a second, he was on my ass. And he did a good job up to the last second. I really wanted to finish him. But I loved teaching him a lot. He said my face was not going to look the same after the fight, and his would look the exact same. So as soon as it was over, I was like, well, look at your face, motherfucker. It does not look the same. You cannot have that mentality when you come in there. He needs to accept the worst possible outcome, and that's how you perform the best, when the pressure's the
I know what I'm talking about. I knew Justin was going to win, but I will tell you guys, he won it in kind of a fluky way. There were multiple eye pokes, and he kind of did get him in the balls. But, chat, can I ask you guys a genuine question? And I'm not shitting on anybody. Do you guys really think either of them are going to beat Topuria? Come on. And I like both fighters, but, dude, I'm not going to lie, bro. Topuria is going to kill whoever. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It really does not matter. That's the problem. Dude, Topuria is it's going to be crazy.
You had the hardcore fans and the believers going all in, fully convinced that Paddy's dominance would just keep rolling, looking completely unstoppable. But underneath it all, the foundation was already crumbling. And now the whole division looks shattered, like someone took a sledgehammer to everything we thought we knew. And here's what nobody wants to admit out loud. The reality, everyone's tiptoeing around this one moment. This single decision didn't just decide a winner. It ignited a wildfire, set off a chain reaction that's going to reshape the lightweight picture for decades. So pay attention right now, because you need to understand just how massive this is. How one battle, this incredibly brutal, this undeniably chaotic, and honestly, sometimes questionably, legal encounter, exploded into a game-changing outcome. An outcome that even while people are still celebrating, already reeks of loose ends and hidden agendas just waiting to surface.
The emotions after the victory were obviously very clear in the cage, but I just wonder if you can kind of put it into words now, just how much that result meant to you in getting the win tonight.
Yeah, I felt like I took winning for granted for a while. I feel like I just never lost. Now coming off 2 losses, I was like, man, it really feels good to win. So I just, yeah, I don't usually get like that too. I usually after a win, I just kind of, like I said, I just feel like I'm always going to win. So after coming off those losses, I was definitely.
Here's the thing though. You probably think you witnessed everything unfold in real time. But believe me, what actually went down in those final seconds, what was hanging in the balance right before that bell, went way deeper than any replay could possibly show. This wasn't your typical walk to the octagon. These were 2 warriors entering a furnace, understanding that every strike thrown, every blow absorbed. They were carving their legacy not just into the record books, but into a story that would be argued, analyzed, and talked about in hushed tones years from now. Everything was perfectly set. You could feel the electricity, and everyone watching had no clue about the shockwaves that were about to tear through everything we know about this sport.
Not an easy fight, obviously, and you dominated the 3rd round. First 2 rounds were a little tougher. What do you think was the key to having such success in that 3rd round versus what played out in the opening 2 rounds?
Yeah, I feel like the first 2 rounds, like he took me down at the end of both of them, but he didn't really do anything. I don't know. I feel like I didn't even know I got hit. Tim said there was a video, he hit me with like a left hook, but I just feel like I didn't even take any damage other than inflicting, damage on myself from kicking him and stuff. But yeah, I feel like I won every round as far as damage goes, but I'd have to go back and watch it.
Yeah. The way the judges had it, they had you winning round 1 and round 3 obviously was clear. I know after the fight was over, I saw you're walking around, you're like, hey, that's my fight. I won that. That's my fight. Was that you kind of like hoping and thinking, or did you know for sure? Did you felt confident?
Again, I didn't feel like I got hit. Like, so in my head at the time, I must have got hit once or twice, but I really didn't feel like I got hit.
G versus Topuria, it's probably going to be a crazy fight also, most likely.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting. I think that Ilya hits like a truck, and so does Gaethje, and I think if Gaethje prepares properly and gets ready for this fight, it should be a fun one.
Yeah, that was satisfying. So the time came, they bumped fists, that brief moment of respect before absolute war, and I'm telling you, my heart just dropped, because the instant Gaethje stepped forward. This wasn't just advancing, this was raw, unfiltered violence. Every movement screamed deadly purpose and Paddy's leg strikes. Those weren't just counters, they were surgical attacks, meant to break down, to find weaknesses. Look, we still haven't gotten the full picture on Justin's condition after all this. His health status is still this massive unknown. When you go through a war like this, something that literally made him quit, it really makes you think. The interim title, the unification fight, does any of it matter anymore? What if he's seriously injured and needs to be sidelined for months? The entire place was electric with this incredible energy, and then Gaethje just completely dominated the space. He wasn't just throwing techniques, he was connecting with body shots that could hospitalize someone, and he was doing this to Gaethje no less. But that right cross, that was his go-to weapon, constantly searching, always ready to end things, a perpetual danger. You could actually feel the crowd react, that collective intake of breath when Gaethje fired off that looping right hand. And just like that, pure mayhem took control, because right then, this stopped being about skill, this became pure animal instinct colliding with the desperate need to survive, and I'm absolutely certain that someone in that cage, right at that moment, understood way too late that they weren't just facing another fighter. They had lost control of the chaos. They were drowning in it, completely helpless. That's when everything exploded. A crushing knee, then a devastating uppercut, and finally that undeniable knockdown. How Justin went after it, the way he sensed weakness. It wasn't calculated. It was completely savage, pure instinct, taking charge. And when Paddy somehow, against all odds, scrambled and got back to his feet, only to get immediately kicked down once more, that's when this terrible understanding hit me like a truck. This isn't just a war, I realized. This is becoming something genuinely dangerous, something that could end careers. And honestly, if you think this was just mayhem inside the octagon, wait until you find out about the rumors of what nearly destroyed everything backstage afterward, because that's when Gaethje, like he'd made some kind of peace with it, began throwing bombs, like someone who decided protecting himself was now completely irrelevant. He was literally walking into uppercuts, willingly absorbing damage, like he was proving something, and that's exactly when the eye poke happened. It was obvious, it was nasty, and it was completely clear to everyone watching. But then in this moment that made no sense, the audience started jeering the wrong fighter, and I swear, right then, something in the fight, in the entire building, just snapped. Because drama doesn't just appear from nothing. It grows fangs, when somebody somewhere clearly profits from the disorder, and the madness. As the second round exploded, Justin was swinging with such incredible force, that he was stumbling over himself, nearly losing balance, while Paddy's uppercuts were like clockwork, one crushing blow after another. Yet somehow, Gaethje just kept advancing, treating pain like it was personally offensive to him. But listen very carefully here, because this is exactly where the rumors really started flying, because there were people ringside, actual witnesses, who noticed something, and if that something ever gets revealed, I guarantee it will completely change, and totally redefine this entire sequence. Gaethje attacked the body, landing punishing kicks, then whipped heads back with his right hand, and the expression on Justin's face when one of those connected perfectly, that wasn't terror. It was something much more disturbing, pure icy focus, and that scares me even more, because fighters, the real elite ones, they don't get that look, unless they're making a deliberate choice to prioritize maximum harm over their own well-being. And when he then pushed Paddy down, and started diving through those dangerous upkicks, I was certain, absolutely certain, that we were moments away from catastrophe, a point where neither fighter could come back. Paddy made it through, but just barely, his face mangled, blood streaming everywhere. Round 3 started, and like some twisted fate, he got dropped again, as if the fight wanted him finished. But then like some kind of dark miracle, he bounced back up, like it was nothing, and right at that moment, Justin's non-stop pressure, his relentless attack, faded just slightly, just enough to shift things, just enough to create an opening. And I'm telling you now, that tiny almost invisible change in control, that was the opening through which everything else, all the drama that followed, poured through. Brutal leg kicks began destroying him. Straight punches started finding their mark, and then inevitably the knee struck the groin. Intentional or not, it completely stopped everything, and when they resumed, Paddy looked clearly more energetic, more focused, while Justin looked genuinely frustrated, in a way that historically leads to nothing but poor choices in fights. If you think that's just coincidence, then you're not paying close enough attention. Then came those final rounds, those brutal raw moments, that feel almost wrong to watch. Justin was literally throwing everything possible, including every desperate technique he knew. Yet Paddy's counters stayed deadly accurate, sharp enough to punish every single advance, every single assault. The incredible heart shown by both fighters was completely insane, almost inhuman. But here's what's important, and this matters. Heart can sometimes mask a deeper reality. There was something deeply troubling about how this whole tide turned, almost like it was created by pure soul-destroying fatigue, rather than real, clear dominance. By that final 5th round, the crowd was absolutely wild, this pulsing mass of pure emotion, witnessing this epic battle of raw strength versus incredible, unbreakable endurance, with both men refusing to even flinch, much less give ground. And then once more, another knee, another sickening groin shot, and this time, Justin collapsed to the mat, grabbing himself in pain, like time had just stopped completely. And as I watched this drama unfold, this disturbing realization crept into my thoughts. This conclusion, this whole finale, is going to look really strange once people really start investigating, once they start demanding answers about who knew what, and more crucially, when they knew it. Then the judges spoke, and the suspense was crushing. 48, 47, 49, 46, 49, 46, unanimous for Gaethje, and instantly my mind raced. Wait, hang on, because those scores, those final numbers, they don't just crown a champion, they carefully build and create an entire narrative. And narratives like this always come with hidden details, the small print that nobody reads until it's way too late. Everyone's already labeling it Fight of the Year, an immediate legend, and sure, absolutely, it was completely wild, a display of human determination. But true legends don't usually come loaded with this many questions, this much clear controversy, this thick, buzzing tension just under the surface. And I can't get rid of this nagging sense that somebody somewhere is staying very, very silent right now, when they definitely shouldn't be. And that quiet is echoing like a sonic boom. You might think this story wraps up here, with a championship and applause, all tied up nicely, but I don't buy that for 1 second, because divisions remember nights like this, fighters remember wrongs, or what they see as wrong, athletic commissions remember the mountains of forms, the protests, the investigations, and if even a fraction of what I'm sensing, what my instincts are telling me, is really true, then this outcome, this official result, isn't resolving anything. It's just postponing an unavoidable eruption. I just can't shake this gut feeling that somebody somehow definitely escaped consequences for something major, that something vital was expertly concealed in full view, buried under the blood, the exhaustion, and the pure overwhelming madness of that evening. And every time I relive those sequences, in my head, my instincts scream that this isn't finished, not by a long shot, because the next revelation, the next bit of intel that surfaces, could completely flip everything you think you just saw, totally inside out. So embrace that uneasiness, because while the victory parties rage on, the doubts are building, anger is quietly brewing, and the lightweight division feels exactly like a bomb, with the safety barely intact. And when it detonates, when everything goes completely insane, please don't pretend to be shocked, because this battle didn't actually conclude, it just stopped being recorded.